Hey, I'm Lisa. If you're new here, we welcome you to our channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about sugar and how we don't use refined sugar in our house anymore. We have completely replaced refined sugar with whole fruits, dried fruits, fresh fruits, or maple syrup or honey, and it works really, really well. We're able to still make some absolutely delicious snacks and treats, and we're not even missing the sugar. Just as a society, we eat way too much sugar. There is way too much sugar in everything. There's juice, and there's sugar in the ketchup, and there's sugar in the enriched bun, and there's just an explosion of sugar everywhere, just so much sugar. And we don't need all that sugar. In fact, when you add that much sugar to things, you can't even really taste the food you're supposed to be eating. And if anyone ever has gone off refined sugar for a while and just started eating more natural sugars, everything else tastes so delicious and sweet. Like you bite into a piece of fruit for the first time after not having refined sugar for a long time, that apple is going to taste so much better. The orange is going to taste so refreshing and sweet. It's like we're robbing our taste buds of what this food is actually supposed to taste like because we've got so much sugar inundating our taste buds all the time. Instead of making a traditional peanut butter and jelly sandwich where the jam or jelly is going to have a lot of added sugar, I love to use a whole fruit like strawberry or pears with the peanut butter or some almond butter. It's absolutely delicious. It kind of opens up a whole new world of what things really are supposed to taste like. And I guarantee you're going to have some surprises where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that could taste so good. Now, the reason I personally avoid sugar is I follow a Mediterranean diet, so refined sugar is a no-no anyway. And honestly, when I eat sugar, I feel really sick after it. I crash, I don't feel well, I usually get a headache. And when I make things from scratch, like I'm making my muffins and I'm making them with maple syrup or with honey or with date sugar, I do not feel sick after I eat. I can satisfy my sweet tooth, I can enjoy my treat, and I do not feel that crash or that sickness afterwards. So one of the first things that I ever started using as a refined sugar substitute was honey. And honey is great. You can use honey in place of sugar in all kinds of different recipes. It's really good to drizzle on top of fruit, on top of yogurt. It's very, very versatile, and you can use it in a lot of different ways. You can use it in sweet and savory recipes. Honey is definitely very, very good. Another one is maple syrup. I absolutely love maple syrup. Charlie loves using maple syrup in his coffee. A little goes a long way. Actually, with both honey and maple syrup, what I have found is when you're replacing them in a recipe, let's say the recipe that you're using calls for a cup of sugar, you probably only need like a half a cup of honey or maple syrup to replace that sugar because they do taste sweeter. So whenever I am using any recipe that calls for sugar and I'm substituting one of these, I am definitely going to be using less. Maple syrup is absolutely delicious. I make a really good maple lemon Dijon dressing that I put on salads and I put it on fish. It's very, very good. I use it in a lot of my recipes, so maple syrup is definitely great. My new favorite is date syrup. I absolutely love dates. They're super, super versatile. And I've got 3 ways that I use dates in my cooking or my baking. So there's date syrup. The only thing in this is just dates. And then there's the whole dates, which once you take the pit out are great because you can stuff them with peanut butter, with goat cheese, all kinds of good things. They're really good on a food board too. These are dates stuffed with goat cheese, drizzled with honey, topped with tahini and walnuts. And then date sugar. And date sugar is really neat because if you're making a recipe where you don't want to add any more liquid, you might not want to use date syrup. Date sugar is really good for that purpose. And all it is again, it's just organic ground dates. Another thing that I love to use in place of sugar is whole fruit. I am of the opinion if you are using bananas in anything, you don't need any additional sugar, especially when the bananas look like this because they are all they are full of sugar. They are going to taste very, very sweet. That's why when bananas get like this, a lot of people make banana bread because they're really, really sweet. So whether you're making banana bread, muffins, cookies, cakes, anything that you are using bananas in, you're definitely gonna at least need less sugar and sometimes no extra sugar at all because the banana is gonna be sweet enough. Instead of using chocolate chips with like traditional chocolate chips added sugar, I like to buy cacao chips. They add just a little bit of sweetness. So if you're making chocolate chip cookies and you use cacao chips and then you're using something like maple syrup or honey or date sugar, you're gonna have enough sweetness in your recipe where you don't have to use that typical 1 cup of white sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar. You don't need to do it. I make these for my family all the time and they are not missing those sugar-filled recipes. That is a thing of beauty. Banana bread with no added sugar, just bananas, cacao chips, and peanut butter, and it is absolutely delicious. I cannot wait to dig in. Dried fruit is another really good thing that you can add to your recipes. We've always got plenty of dried figs. I bought some dried persimmons recently. I get both of these at Costco. If you haven't checked out my healthy Costco shopping videos, I'll link it below so you can check those out. But these work out really, really well. These are great just as a snack, or you can add them to salads, you can add them to baked goods. They're great on a board. Another thing that I like to do, instead of topping muffins, like a lot of times you go to a bakery and you'll see muffins and they're topped with sugar. I like to drizzle things on top of my muffins, but I'm not making like a sugary icing or sugary frosting. I drizzle things like tahini to have that sweet and savory balance. A nice drizzle of tahini on some apples or muffins is a really nice layer of flavor. Sometimes I will drizzle almond butter, and again, that's gonna be a little bit more of a savory. And I love to drizzle peanut butter as well. And peanut butter to me, it still tastes really sweet. So whenever I add this to a recipe, I feel like it's getting just another oomph of sweetness. Here I've drizzled date syrup and peanut butter on top of my muffins and yogurt and topped with pumpkin seeds. It was so good. Even though the only thing in this peanut butter is dry roasted peanuts and sea salt. So there's no added sugar in this peanut butter, but it still tastes sweet to me. And so when I make something like a banana bread with peanut butter, I can still kind of get some sweetness from the peanut butter. So I hope this video has given you some great ideas of things that you can use in place of refined sugar. And I would love to know what you use in your kitchen to replace refined sugar in your recipes. I wish you were here to have some of this yummy banana bread with me. So good.